Hello, welcome to the Fun Health Podcast with Dr. Gold. I am so excited to introduce you to our next guest. She is an amazing woman. Her name is Judge Jackie Steele. She is a native Floridian who was born and raised in Tampa, Florida, and currently lives in Bradenton with her husband of 15 years. She attended USF in Tampa and FSU College of Law and spent 25 years in private practice before being appointed as a county court judge in 2020. She is the proud Mimi to 7 beautiful grandchildren and is mom to a 14-year-old Jack Russell Terrier, Jasper, and a 1-year-old black kitten, Gracie. She has struggled with morbid obesity throughout her adult life, losing 70 to 140 pounds multiple times in her 20s, 30s, and 40s. Her most recent weight loss journey started in August of 2021. She has now successfully lost 167 pounds with a variety of tools that have reshaped her life for the better. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and share my story and hope it's something that can help others.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm sure it will be. Can you just take us back to the moment you realized it was a time for major life change, how this even came about with your journey?
The most recent journey started about a year and 3 months after COVID, and just really the health impact that had, being stuck in the house and working remotely. And I really, at that point, started sort of escalating bad behavior, bad eating habits, diet sodas, way too many diet sodas a day, and just not getting up and moving. You get married to the computer and everything was happening online and Zoom, which there's lots of great benefits to that. But it just, my weight escalated significantly. Now, I will say I was still probably at least in the 300-pound range when COVID started, but I basically gradually gained another 30 pounds or so throughout that. And I was at the highest ever A1C number. I had already crossed into diabetes in 2007. So it was something I was dealing with and on medications for, but it escalated to the highest ever number. And I just knew that was not something that I should let continue. I had a family history of diabetes with a grandfather who lost a leg over it, and a father who had significant complications for healing on various things because of it. So I knew it was a bad situation.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you mentioned diet soda. I actually had patients say, Dr. Gold, I'm drinking diet soda. What's the concern with diet soda?
Well, I didn't know it at the time. And this is something I have gained a very significant amount of knowledge on this last journey, because my journeys before were temporarily successful, but they were focused on a lot of the wrong things and things that I now understand to be false with regard to health. Diet soda and artificial sweeteners trigger hunger response. They tell your brain the wrong things. And you think, I'm doing myself a favor by drinking a diet soda, but then you eat twice as much in your meal. So it's not good at all.
And that's what I share with my patients, the people that are like, there's no calories, Dr. Gold. But I was like, but it's not really sugar, so your body never gets satisfied. So it keeps wanting that sugar. Yeah. So you keep eating food to help with that or compensate for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And how much is a lot? You said I was drinking a lot of diet soda. How many?
I would say 6 to 8 a day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your favorite one?
I was completely addicted to Coke Zero.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have those on that too. But the thing, so how did you transition? How did you shift to something else?
What I will say is I'm very much a type A, which most people in my profession are. And when I put my mind to something, I can do it. But I am very much historically an all or nothing person.
Mm.
And so I saw a meme one time that made me laugh because it's totally me. When I would fall off the diet wagon, I would drag it into the woods and bury it, so it was never about a bad day for me in the past. If I was either good, and I always put it in my head in those terms, I was good or I was bad. And I've also learned to reframe that because that's not what it's about. And if I was bad, then I said, the heck with it. I'm just going to do what I want, because somehow in my head, before I learned how to think about food, it was a reward. I deserved it. It was love. I mean, I have so much emotional baggage around food that it's really crazy.
Yeah. And do you know where that came from?
Well, it's very much a hereditary thing with my family. I could probably count on one hand the number of people in 4 generations of my family that are average weight. And when I say that, I'm talking in terms of most of the members of my family would fall into the morbid obesity category. And so it's just something that I have seen very much firsthand. Every single type of health complication that arises from diabetes, I have had a dear family member suffer and die from. That arises from health. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Type 2 diabetes is the prevalence, all weight-related type 2 diabetes in my family. But the heart conditions, the heart attacks have taken my dad at 58, took my great uncle, both of my great uncles, even a little bit younger or right around the same age. So every single weight-related health complication that leads to death, I've had a very close family member die from. So it's something that, the high cholesterol, the high blood pressure, heart attacks, and diabetes, all of it.
Gotcha. Sounds like my family. We have a lot. So what shifted? How did you first, let me know how you said you rethought about food again. So how are you seeing it? And then what was that impetus to shift?
Yeah. Well, when I got that, I think it was a 9.2, and you're supposed to be under 5.6 A1C and even that is bordering on pre-diabetic, as I'm sure you know. So I'm a 5.3 now and completely consistent with the absence of diabetes. So I'm very happy about that. But getting that 9.2 or 9.3 frankly scared me, because again, my grandfather lost his leg to diabetes. My father almost lost his leg and almost refused a quadruple bypass because of his fear of losing his leg like his father did if they took the vein out of his leg for the heart surgery. And so that's what scared me, I would say, the most, because before that time, while I lost 70 pounds in my 20s, 100 pounds in my 30s, 140 pounds in my 40s, I never had an A1C diabetes that extreme. For me, that's extreme. That it really was, because metformin before that time was pretty easily controlling my diabetes without huge changes in my diet. So I was able to maintain, frankly, still a morbid obesity weight, but not have that kind of number. And I was older. I mean, I was then in my 50s. And so, there over time, your body's just not going to be able to fight it.
Understand.
As you age.
Yeah, it's harder, less resilience.
Yeah.
But the good part is there is still grit, there's still ability. So
right.
So what was the turnaround? Like, I know you said a high number, but how do you rethink of food now? And
I ended up consulting with my doctor, and the doctor recommended that I consider bariatric surgery. Because I had pretty much done, you name the diet in the past, I had done it. And I had, my most recent successful time before this, the 140 pounds, I journaled everything I ate for almost 2 years straight and did a ridiculous amount of cardio. I was so focused on only cardio and fighting to get that weight off. And then the minute that I started eating things that I shouldn't, or reduce the cardio, like the weight just came back on with a vengeance. And so the bariatric surgery was something she said would be a tool. And in order to get my insurance to pay for it, and I was very blessed to have insurance that would, but they were very strict on a lot of requirements that you had to go through to get that approval. And one of the absolute requirements was counseling. And I am still in monthly counseling to this day because that's what I need. And also another requirement was to work with a personal trainer that they provided, and to get at least 10% of your body weight off before they would authorize the surgery. Now, at that point, 33 pounds roughly was what I needed to lose. I've lost 30 pounds so often in my lifetime that just sort of made me chuckle. I could lose 30 pounds. That's not a problem. But having to do it with the schedule of the personal trainer and the therapist, I think was a big key factor for me. And so I am on a minimum 5 day a week workout routine that includes weight training each day in a specific muscle group. And then I do really just 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, because the world doesn't revolve around cardio, especially for women. It's more about building muscle. So.
Yeah. And I usually mention this with my patients because sometimes it weighs more. So they're like, Dr. Gold, my weight's going up, but I'm fitting in my clothes better. It's more metabolically active. So you're burning more calories at rest. You feel better. You're stronger. That's wonderful. And you mentioned the counseling. What type of counseling is it?
I have a therapist, and he, so we meet once a month now. I was going weekly to him before, and we really addressed a lot of things. I don't have anything that I would say is trauma related in my background, but what I do have is food is love. I have a Southern family. I have this whole kind of ingrained social thing with my family about every kind of social event is around food, and food that's prepared the way my great granny did it and the way her great granny did it. And it's all it's delicious, but it really should be 2 or 3 times a year the way it's prepared, and not weekly, because it's not healthy. And then there's so many things that you can do to still make it healthier, but enjoyable. But like we weren't taught to do that. We also were the clean plate club. You got to finish, you got to finish everything on your plate. Well, why? And I'm really been very purposeful with my grandchildren now. There are so many times when I look and I think, oh, it's so wasteful, but no, I'm not going to tell them they have to finish that. Now, when they only took 2 bites of their dinner and want a cookie, the answer to that is no too. But so
I love that.
It just really had to, I had to really change how I looked at food. And then I also, in the last year, met a fantastic nutritionist. I had to do some nutritional counseling as part of that initial process as well. But that was a minor part of it. It was really like 4 or 5 sessions with a nutritionist. And I will say something that I've learned, and I'm very much believe, is the bariatric surgery focus initially is on what it has to be on. And that's protein shakes and bars and powders to get you through that immediate post-surgical phase and the pre-surgical prep. But that cannot be your focus once your stomach is healed, because you will stall, you will regain, and you don't learn how to fix your relationship with food. So I have, this year in particular, I have learned a lot from a new nutritionist that that focuses on your microbiome, your gut health, and getting what you need out of real food and not processed food. So I didn't really understand the true difference that has on your body, because so many of the processed things, your body really, at the end of the day, doesn't know what to do with it. Or it does the wrong thing with it.
I hear you. Was there a golden nugget that she told you for the transition, like a specific food or a snack or something that you can share?
What I would say with that is just, and this is a huge challenge, and I will just admit to everyone who listens, this is not something that I think I have been successful in accomplishing more than twice since I started aiming for it, but variety. And she tells me to try to eat 30 different plant-based foods in a week. Mm-hmm. And broccoli 7 days a week is one. So that is hard. Mm-hmm. You have to be so incredibly purposeful. And I really only succeed when I get, Taylor Farms does this bagged kind of salad medley, and it's mm-hmm. organic. And like one bag will have endive, Brussels sprouts, escarole, like, and 4 other things. So I latched onto that because I'm like, I get 8. Mm-hmm. I get credit for 8 if mm-hmm. I have this week, and then I have to build around, but it's planning, and it's being intentional. And I think that our society, just the grab and go, the convenience is the focus, and we're all so busy. And you have to sort of decide, okay, I don't need to maintain this level of busyness. I need to focus on my health. And so, I mean, it takes work. There's no easy pass on that issue, but it can be done if you refocus on your health. So,
yeah, I love that. And honestly, what I tell some of my patients that are really busy, and I get it, like being a judge, we're going to get to that in a moment, is maybe go to the health food store and get the items that are ready-made, because some places I go to, they already have the meals, and they'll have tons of veggies in it. And so sometimes mm-hmm. I'll go there and I'll get 10 vegetables just going there, and I didn't have to cook anything, but I could just have a little of this, a little of that. And it's just easy and nice, convenient for me, but everybody's a little different. Some people love cooking. So I usually say at least try some new stuff, go to the Asian markets or go to places that have probably some vegetables you've never saw before, and then start mixing it.
It's true. And she wants me to do a fermented food a day, but I'm just going to be completely frank about it. Mm-hmm. I not found one that I love. And so that's a little bit of a challenge for me. So I'm not consistent with that, but I will have a kombucha occasionally. Some of them, they have so many different flavors. And I've had a few that I'd say are okay. Mm-hmm. Still looking for that one I'm going to fall in love with, but she wouldn't want me to only do kombucha either. Again, it's variety, because your body and your gut health is more important on giving it different variety to keep that gut health in balance. So that's a challenge for me, is making sure I'm doing variety and still on that search for the fermented thing that is okay. Because I feel like I'm only going to end up with something that's okay, but who knows?
Can I make a suggestion for that?
Sure. I will take any suggestion.
And this is just something I just got a download for, but the idea, instead of you searching out a food that's already fermented, think of foods you already like and then ferment those.
Oh, okay.
So you actually ferment the foods you already enjoy, and then, and also see yourself liking it too, because that mental aspect I had when I was younger growing up, we used to have mushed Brussels sprouts, and no flavor, no salt added. It was and I was like, there's no way I'm ever eating this again. Then my father-in-law said, Tanya, I made some Brussels sprouts. I was like, oh. And he's like, well, they have rosemary. They're crispy like potato chips. I roast them. And I was like, they're not mush. And he goes, you have to try them. I was like, all right. And it takes about 10 to 15 times to know if you really like a food. So I was like, all right, I only tried this like 2 or 3 times at school, or maybe even just once. I was like, no, never again. I didn't even know that statistic until as of late, in the last several years. And I tried it, and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And it tastes it's crispy and crunchy, which I love. I love like potato chips, and I'm now substituting, because if I eat too much regular potato chips, I don't feel very good. But now I'm using better oils or making my own. And those Brussels sprouts, they call them like we do on our cooking show, Cooking in the Kitchen with Drew, the Brussels sprout potato chips. Oh my God. or Brussels
I
sprouts.
love Brussels sprouts, so I need that recipe.
Yes. Okay. We can share that after. It's so good.
Okay.
Actually, just go to Cooking in the Kitchen with Drew if you just look that up
Okay.
on YouTube. And then
Okay.
honestly, but I can always send you the link as well. But the
Okay,
Brussels
great.
sprout chips. Yeah, so good. But yeah, so getting back to you, I know that practicing law can be incredibly stressful. I am not a lawyer or a judge, but how did the demands of your career impact your health before your transformation? And if also you can touch upon after how you're managing now.
Yeah. I will say that the 25 years that I spent in private practice was very stressful because I was in an area that was high volume and it required a lot of traveling. I mean, I would frankly travel just within the state of Florida, thank goodness, but it was mostly driving, and I would put about 25,000 miles on my car a year.
Oh, wow.
And so what did that mean? It was what could I eat in the car while I was driving between things? And it was typically fast food and something from a gas station, and not good. And it doesn't have to be that way, because you can pack a box with a coolie in it and have your snacks ready to go, or different things. But I did not start this recent journey until after COVID, and I had already become a judge. And for me, I think that was a key, was getting out of private practice. It allowed me, and the timing of it, because COVID changed how the field of law is practiced, honestly. Zoom is not something that I think would have ever been a commonplace occurrence in legal settings, but for COVID. And then we all learned it could be done. It could be done efficiently. It could be done with accomplishing all the things that you must do to protect everyone's rights. You know, a lot of criminal stuff still has to be taken care of in person. Don't get me wrong, but there's a good many of the preliminary things in criminal, and then most of the civil matters can be handled by Zoom. And so you don't have to travel an hour to another county to go for a 5-minute motion hearing, for example. And so that really changed the whole dynamic of practice. And I think for the better. I mean, I am a little old fashioned, though. I like face to face, even though we're doing this by Zoom. It afforded me the opportunity to do this with you because I couldn't get over to be in person. But I miss some of the human interaction element of in-person meetings, but I still have a good mix of it. So the things that only take 5 minutes happen on Zoom, and the other things that happen in person. So we've got a good balance. But I do think my career change and the timing of that, and then what benefits of COVID, if you will, allowed people to really rethink the profession and what can be accomplished and how.
Oh, I love that. And you mentioned the snacks. So what are your snacks now in your cooler?
Right now, I also was never, before this, never really focused on fruit. Sometimes I think fruit is vilified as being sweet or sugary, but not in the sense of refined sugar. But high glycemic indexes and that kind of thing, which diabetics do have to be concerned about that. But a lot of times I have pineapple and strawberries and raspberries and blueberries mixed in with a Greek yogurt and a little sprinkle of chia seed and some granola, but a little bit of granola, because granola, you don't want to go overboard on that. But it's nice to give it a little bit of crunch with the chia seed and a little sprinkle of granola, and then the fruits. I do, for a quick, easy snack, I will have a cheese stick. So, it's protein. There's some protein there. I have nuts. A lot of times I'll try pumpkin seeds, cashews, sunflower seeds. Trying to think what else. I tend to have one of the protein bars a day, but I sought out a healthier option, because you have to be really careful with the protein bars, because some of them are nothing more than a Snickers with some protein mixed in it. Like quite literally, the rule of thumb that I was given was basically every gram of protein, a maximum of 10 calories. would mean it was kept the sugar in control. So I tend to eat a type of bar that's 20 grams of protein, 200 calories. I went from, there was a type of bar that I really loved, and it was because it was a candy bar with protein in it, because it was a big bar and it was 360, but it only had 360 calories, but it only had like 15 grams of protein in it. So when my nutritionist really got into my food journal, the first thing she said is that had to go. And I was very upset about that. And so we did some negotiation about that. And I agreed I would start trying other bars as long as I could have at least half of my favorite one for a period of time. And when I found a better bar, then I let go of it. Now I don't even miss it. And she gave me basically like an 80-20. So she said, okay, 20%, if you want to put that bar that you really like in your 20% category for the time being, you can, but just please try some other ones to see where you can end up improving.
I love that. And it's good to just look, because sometimes even with sugar, there's so many different names for sugars. Yes. The glucoses and the artificial sweeteners, same different names. So just looking at what you're actually eating and what's in it, and then the number of grams. I'm glad now the labeling is better, so you can actually see what you're getting. And it's the sugar. My rule of thumb is how many grams in the whole bar, because sometimes they'll trick you with serving size. They'll say the bar is literally 2.5 servings, but most people are going to eat the whole bar. So you have to, times by 2.5, whatever the number of sugars. So if it's 10, it's like 25 grams now. And you're like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, that's true. The serving size is another trap that you have to be really careful about.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing this. So usually during our program, we get people to stand up or just move in any way. If you're listening in your car, of course, don't stand up or try to unless you're pulling over. But we're just going to do a stretch moment. And if you're driving, you could just take a nice deep breath during this time, or roll the shoulders, or whatever is safe for you, of course. So if you're able, we're going to have everybody stand up. And then we're just going to do a nice lift. So just working on elevating that spine, bringing a beautiful smile to the cheeks. We're about the Fun Health podcast. So it's all about bringing joy in, which, again, I met Jackie a little while back at Judge Jackie, at a women's event, Women's Circle, the Full Moon Circle. And she was just such a delight and just heartwarming and lovely, with just so much grace, and then shared her story. And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. And she was so graciously accepted my invitation to be on this podcast. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We're going to stand up and just, if you can, lift. Again, you can raise your arms if you're able to. Otherwise, just rolling the shoulders back and just reach all the way over to one side with a nice big smile. Oh, deep breath in, and a nice deep breath to the other side. I got a little stitch there. I think I need to stretch it forward. I was like, oh, deep breath in and a nice Good. We're going to stretch all the way up again. Reach. And then just roll those arms behind you. You can place your hands on your low back to stretch out the wrists, and just gently lean back as you. This is my favorite, to kiss the heavens. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Just working to tone the neck, increasing blood flow to the brain, to also help with posture as well. We're working our pecs here to just stretch them out, and releasing and relaxing that upper back here. So nice little back bend, gentle, not overdoing, and then slowly release. Shake it out. I'm all about getting the wiggles out and just moving anyway, any way you can. So if you can share, Jackie, and if there's any other poses, but is there any routine? I know you mentioned your workouts with your trainers. Any specific types of exercise or pose or stretch that you like to do?
I like to do, and it's a yoga pose. My favorite thing is this inverted one where you get your legs up in the air and you're leaning back as far as you can. You're almost on your shoulders. To me, that just makes my back feel so much better. But I do weight training 5 days a week with some cardio. But I also, at one point, my trainer challenged us to do a different cardio exercise each month. And she put a little cardio challenge. And so I have been doing like a flow, vinyasa flow, fresh air, yoga, once or twice a month. I'd love to go every Sunday, but I don't tend to be able to. So I try to get that once or twice a month. And I'm currently exploring, and I'm about a month in to twice a week Pilates. And there's a studio that's very close to my home. And that's an interesting thing. It's harder than you think it would be. But it incorporates yoga with resistance, essentially, training. And so I'm enjoying that, and we'll see where that goes. What I will tell you as my therapist at one point, because I started this workout regimen back in August of 2021 to get cleared for surgery, which took place in November of 21. And I've maintained it the whole time. With the exception of, brief vacations, like week-long vacations, but frankly, every place you go tends to have a gym. And so I maintain doing something at a gym, even while on vacation, or like when we went to Colorado, we did hiking. And so I tracked that to make sure, but I never would have been physically able to do that until I got healthier. So my therapist said to me, he said this to me about a year and a half ago, "You're officially a gym rat." And I just laughed out loud because I'm like, are you kidding me? But I have to go in the morning. I know myself. And if I don't go in the morning, I'm not going to go. My energy is just better in the morning. And then I feel when I'm leaving the gym to go to work, I feel so much better about myself and my day. And so that's what I just learned was what I needed for me. And I enjoy exercise now. I don't wake up every morning and say, yay. But that feeling when I'm leaving keeps me going. So, I'm probably never going to be the person that, again, pops up out of bed and runs to the gym. I get up because I know I need to do it for my health. And once I'm there, I enjoy it.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what are some things that bring you joy and balance? You mentioned the yoga and the working out. Are there other things that bring you joy and balance outside of the courtroom as well as the courtroom?
Well, frankly, it's just being able to be as active as I am. I can walk with colleagues to lunch and not feel like I'm struggling to keep up with them and struggling not to be huffing and puffing and talking to them to where they're like, "Are you okay?" I like, I opt sometimes to take a flight or two of stairs. I never would have done that before. So I'm not saying that brings me joy, but it brings me satisfaction to know I don't have to look at a set of stairs and think it's going to take so much effort for me to get up those stairs. Yeah. I like being able to go on a plane and not have to ask for a seatbelt extender and not have to feel like I'm infringing on someone else's space in the seat next to me. And I enjoy being able to be active with my grandchildren. I mean, they range in age from 9 up to 14, and they never stop. So now I'm not saying I put it in never stop mode, but I am able to go out with them and go to a park. And I don't tend to run around on the jungle gym or anything like that, but I walk. They play on the jungle gym. I walk around. I walk with them. We go on trails at state parks. My husband loves doing that. And I was blessed enough to have such a supportive husband. I mean, I was 41 when we married. And so I had those up and down weight loss journeys. And frankly, after we married, at the time we met, I was a little bit down on my, meaning lower weight. But I seriously gained a significant amount of weight within a few years of us marrying. And he was always supportive, and I'm blessed for that. And I can now go, he loves to camp, and I'm talking about primitive camping, but we're trying to land on a middle ground there. But, we do regular 5K trail runs. We just finished the Florida series, which is 4 different runs throughout the year inside state parks. And it's beautiful. They schedule them at a time of year when it's not so hot, but like the last one was about a week ago, and it was cool. And you're running through the trees on like sort of grassy trails, and it was beautiful. And those are the kind of things that I never in a million years would have been able to do or thought I could do when I had the weight on me. So
That's awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. So what does your grandchildren think about this transformation? And
It's funny because Mimi is just Mimi as far as they're concerned. I think they enjoy, because they always, it doesn't matter. They're always saying, "Come do this with me." And I would be making an excuse or saying, "Well, Papa will do that with you." And now I get to be the one. So I think they probably obviously realize there's a difference, but they don't verbalize it. They're just excited and happy that I'm participating, and I don't mind being in the pictures. I'm not always the one taking the pictures now because I'm okay with being in the pictures and participating in the more activities with them.
oh, that's good. I love that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who feels overwhelmed by the idea of starting their own transformation?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to remember is it's one day at a time. And so my 4-year anniversary is the 29th of November. And I actually lost a little bit more weight since I sent you my info. I did hit my goal. My goal was to get to 175, and I hit that this week. And so I'm down 171 pounds from my overall or all-time high. I started this journey in 21 at 333. I don't remember when I was, like, the specifics of when I was 346, but I know at one point in my life, that's what I weighed. And you just need to focus on what can I do today to help my health, and not how much longer it's going to take to get to where you want to be. And that's not an easy thing. I hit a stall. That's the other thing. I hit a stall, and there was about a year where I'm still working out, doing all the things, and my weight just stopped. It stopped coming off. And I hit menopause, which menopause for me, I'm not completely through it, and I'm older. So, I'm 56. I'm going to be 57 in about 3 months. And this year, I'm just now about 8 months without a period and into menopause. So I can't say I'm through it yet. But that hit with a vengeance that I just really honestly wasn't anticipating. And so that was a very frustrating time. But what I learned through my therapy and all of it, I still maintained my workout schedule. I didn't let it derail me, because in the past, that's what would have happened. If I wasn't seeing results, then why bother? And so I would just encourage everyone to just remember it's one day at a time. If you have a meal where you go off your plan, don't throw it all away. So, I would just really encourage people to just stay committed overall, and to develop some support, because you need it. This isn't something, you're not alone, and you shouldn't take on this task alone, because there are a lot of tools. And that's the thing. For me, bariatric surgery was a tool. One of the things I can tell you without a doubt is, if I had not started focusing on my gut health, I do hormone replacement therapy. I'm not saying that everyone needs to do that. You can do it in natural forms or other ways, but I needed that because my metabolism just decided to shut down on me, so to speak. And I could have, if I had stopped working out and started eating the wrong things, there's no question in my mind I could have defeated the tool that I gained with bariatric surgery. And I know a lot of people, I stay very much engaged in reading a lot of literature and stories about people who have had that occur. And it makes me very sad. But I think it's because you have to change your relationship with food. Bariatric surgery isn't just going to fix the problem. It's going to give you a tool that has to be part of the whole picture of what you do.
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing. That was powerful. And that's also why I wanted you on this podcast, to mention that, because that commitment and just thinking that, oh, it's going to, I get the surgery and that's it, I'm done. It's the starting place, it's a tool, like you said. And you even said to even get it, I had to be in the right frame of mind. I had to make sure they had requirements, and they are strict. And I'm happy that they're implementing that lifestyle. And you you literally ran with it, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So proud of you for
Thank you.
sharing that. One thing I did want to add too, because a lot of people feel like, oh my God, if I get stalled, what's happening? It's almost like the body's like, what's going on here? When a lot of weight drops, it tries to recalibrate itself and hold on to the weight, especially if we're not exercising as much or we're eating the wrong food. So the body wants to go back to kind of their homeostasis or their set point. But it's actually good that you stuck it through, because what you just mentioned is common. It's not uncommon for that to happen. Our bodies feel that stress of losing the weight and want to regain it just to be in balance again or feel in that safety mode. But just hang in there, especially women, when we're going through the changes. That's why I love my patients. And, we get if they need it. And of course, there's various ways to do this, but balancing their hormones. As a hormone expert, I work with many women, the same age group that you are and I'm in right now, 50 plus, 40 plus, but just working through to navigate those changes with grace, with wisdom, with love for our bodies. And our workouts change, or what we're eating changes. We need protein, we need strength training, muscle. I had a patient yesterday I was talking to about strength training. She's like, Dr. Gold, I'm lifting weights, and she has osteoporosis. And I said, well, what are you lifting? And she goes, I'm lifting 5 and 10 pounds. And I'm like, well, to work your bones, even the groceries sometimes are more than 5 or 10. We have to safely, and again, with our bodies, work heavier. And as you may not do as many reps, you just may do 1 or 2 reps or whatever it is, the workout, but working to lift heavy, and then the amount of good protein, good nutrition, complex carbs, feeding the gut, good nutrients, and even checking gut study, checking your hormone levels, your sex hormones, as well as, thyroid and other stuff, vitamin D, to see where your body's at. Thank you for doing that. Well, I'm sorry.
I said, you're welcome.
So just to wrap up, I was just thinking 3 small actions that someone can take today to begin their own transformation.
I'm a big advocate of journaling, because one of the things I think we don't realize is how much we are eating until we truly commit to writing it down. And I'm talking about everything. The little piece of candy you pulled out of the candy dish at the reception desk, this and that, because it adds up. And you don't have to commit to journaling for years, but I think you would learn a lot about what's going on and why if you did it for 2 weeks, for example. Like just agree to journal for 2 weeks so that you can get a true idea of what's going on, because sometimes you're sabotaging yourself in ways you don't even realize. And that includes like the salad dressings, the sauces, the things you add on. Oh, just a little bit of this, but then it adds up. So I would say journaling. Realizing that it's okay to put yourself first, because, so many women are the caretakers for young children, older children, adult children, their own spouse, parents. I mean, I think a lot of women my age, our age, are sort of a sandwich generation of caregiver for children and their aging parents. And then somehow they get lost in the mix. So I would say journaling, putting yourself first when it comes to your health, and not beating yourself up for thinking that's selfish, because honestly, it's the opposite of that, because you've got to take care of yourself in order to be there for others. So I would say that. And then just small steps. You don't have to fix everything at once. So maybe you would start out with just giving up diet soda, or, only 1 cup of coffee a day, or something of that nature. Now, what I will say, and I tend to agree, I'm reading a lot lately about the bariatric surgery, post-surgery regain issue, because frankly, that's what scares me the most. I feel so good and I'm so excited for where I am. And then I'm just petrified, because keep in mind, 3 different times I have gained back over 100 pounds. And continuing on the protein shakes, the bars, the powders, all of that, thinking you're doing yourself a favor, you're not, because you're not retraining your body. your stomach is still there. It still does what God intended it to do. It still works in the same way, and you need to feed it with real food and help retrain your relationship with food. So one step at a time, and seek out support, because it's there. Another good thing about technology, because technology, there's so many things that aren't good, but one of the best things about technology is there's so many pages and support groups out there where you can gather information and become, join a page to chat with other people who are going through the same struggle, because there are so many people out there in the bariatric community, but not just the bariatric community, but in that community who can share experiences with what they've dealt with. And sometimes you do have a food addiction too. I just finished a food addiction book, and there are things of it parts of it that really resonated with me. Other parts of it I don't think were quite me. But if you have a food addiction, your body works differently, and you deserve to understand that, and it's not your fault. And you need to get some help for it, in the same way that an alcoholic needs to get help. And I don't mean that to sound dramatic, because I just think there's some real truth to that. And you deserve help and to be treated that way. So, obesity has only been recognized as a disease, I think, I'm not going to remember the statistic, but probably less than 10 years or somewhere in that range. And it's not, some people can be really flippant about that if they've never had a weight issue, and they could say, well, just control what you eat. I mean, eat less and you'd fix your problem. No, that's really unfair. So
No,
that's what I would say.
Oh, powerful. And honestly, when I see my patients now, even with the education, my training, a few decades ago, I've been in practice over 25 years. So in like the 1990s, when I was doing my medical training, it was, just tell them to eat less and exercise more, or eat better. And I was like, well, what does that actually mean? Because we weren't actually trained in nutrition in medical school. I didn't have, so I did the additional training afterwards. And luckily, fortunately, my dad he came from the Caribbean islands and gave us a lot of information on like fruits and vegetables. Because my mom honestly she died young, and she didn't put in good nutritious foods. I remember her saying, we're eating tater tots and ketchup. You'll get your 2 vegetables today. And, and they also counted that actually when I was in the luncheon in school. I remember in high school, the same thing. You're supposed to have 2 vegetables. And they're like, yeah, French fries and ketchup.
Yeah.
It's
with corn syrup.
With corn syrup. Exactly. So now I just realize I can do my best. I'm not perfect by any means. And with my patients now, if they're struggling with it, working on that mindset. I love those small changes, because one simple thing I usually say is like right after you eat, maybe go for a walk, or I say it slowly, make a little joke out of it, but step away from the refrigerator. Step away and don't eat out of the garbage. If you toss something, don't go back in the dumpster and try to eat that chocolate cake that you tossed, or the pizza. Because if you're really full, it's okay not to finish it. And I did grow up in that era of finish everything on your plate. People are starving in
Ethiopia.
In Ethiopia, and and I said, well, can't we just deliver it to them? But we would try to overeat. And then I realized how that mindset sometimes is still in my head, but I'm working on releasing that doesn't serve me anymore. And I can be a nidus for my nieces, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to tell them that they have to force them to eat or overeat. Because what are we training them to do as well? And then also not be obsessed with sugar, because I know I was preachy, and now I'm like, okay, you can have some, but I would like let's get some real food. You now know what that means. So it's a vegetable, it's a fruit, it's a good protein, high quality. If you do want something, if you're really full, you don't have to stuff yourself. We can take it to go. It's okay to have it well balanced. Or do you want a healthier version of whatever you're choosing? So it's called a real fruit. We actually freeze the fruit, and they love it. They love grapes or pineapple, all the stuff you're mentioning. My sister said it's just so easy. So their ice cream sometimes is a frozen grape, or,
Yeah.
a watermelon or whatever is available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I just wanted, this is the last part, just because we're the Fun Health Podcast too, and finally, what does feeling fun, healthy, and empowered mean to you? I know I said last week, but I wanted to add this one more.
Yeah. I just think it means that I can fully enjoy my life in every part of it because I can be an active participant in it. I do think, so much of my time in the past was sort of a sideline participant, if that makes sense. And now I just feel like I can be more engaged, and not trying to hide, like, the group picture. Okay, I'm going to be the one in the back row because I need to stand behind people because of my weight, that kind of thing. So I just really enjoy being able to participate in all different kinds of activities now, and not have to say, well, I can't do that because physically I wouldn't be able to make it through that.
Yeah. No, thank you.
It's nice that I don't have to think in that mindset any longer.
You can be in the front row.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
Just, and the part I do want to just kind of emphasize too is just to love yourself wherever you're at, because I guess such a stigma with being a certain size. And I know I was actually very fortunate growing up. I was pretty thin. But then I got sick and I gained a lot of weight. Not as much as you, but for me, it was a lot. It was like close to 40 or close to 50. I wasn't actually weighing myself because I didn't really want to know. All I knew was I was wearing my clothes, and I had to put on my husband's clothing, who was larger than me. And it just, people were congratulating me on being pregnant, and not. Yeah. But wherever you're at, just know there's hope there, that you matter, you are worthy, you are loved, and please connect with us. I would love for you to leave some comments, to subscribe, to share if you've been through this journey, your successes, and if you haven't, just where you are at, because we want to also just know that we still want to celebrate you in any capacity that we can and support you, of course, and be your biggest ally. But again, Jackie, want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is incredible, and I learned a lot, and I just feel that the people listening and hearing can take this, to others, to share this with your friends and family, and just give that amazing, this feat that you can overcome, and you're doing it. They say once you get to that 5-year mark, it's really the chances of going back, because you're setting it into a habit, become less and less. Anything's possible, but you have that mindset, which is so empowering. And you're a gym rat now, so
yes, exactly. Well, and I had one doctor in my pre-op prep, an endocrinologist who was focused on the diabetes, say you had to get to the 4-year mark to be considered a success post-surgery. And that was at the time she said it to me, honestly, a little discouraging. However, now that I'm approaching that mark, I understand why she said it, because I had that stall. And if I had given up, then I would have been one of her statistics from the perspective I didn't make it. And I'm glad that I'm approaching that on the 29th. And then I agree. I feel like the next year is where I'm going to be exploring how and what I do to maintain my current weight, because I have never maintained weight for any significant period of time in my adult life. So it's always been this yo-yo thing. So it'll be interesting for me to explore that maintenance phase for the next year. And so then that ties in with exactly what you were saying as a 5-year situation, honestly. So the timing, everybody knows what they're talking about when you're ready to listen. It makes a lot of sense.
So is this your longest period that you've kept the weight?
Oh, absolutely. when I told you about dragging the wagon in the woods and burying it, that I never ever came off of a prior diet without just immediately going into gain. Never.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a whole new, and I would keep like 5 or 6 different ranges of sizes in my closet because I never let go of anything until this journey. About 2 years ago, I probably 2.5 years ago, got rid of all of my largest clothes. And just in the last 6 months, did a purge, another big purge, because I just said, you don't need to keep this because you're not going back. So
I'm giving you a high 10.
thank you. Thank you. But that was hard for me. That was really hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, again, you're shining light in this world. You're a blessing. I'm sending this to the audience as well. Remember, shine your light bright and listen. Judge Jackie has so many words of wisdom that we can take and know that, you know, just like she's shedding her clothes, you can shed the weight, but you can shed the limiting beliefs too and bring in all that powerful, empowering mindset. You can do it. And you're also supported and loved.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, thank you again for joining the Fun Health Podcast with Dr. Goals and Judge Jackie Steele. We feel so blessed to have you and have an awesome day. Remember, your health matters. Toodles.
Bye.